Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Triforce Podcast.
He's back.
Welcome, everyone.
He's back.
It's good to be here with you. Sips, how you feeling today?
Just fine. Like tired. My dad tired. You know, I got too many kids. They're running me ragged here. I don't know what to do.
It's finally hit you that this is the enough children. You've got 3 and it's sunny, so I'm assuming they're wanting to go outside more, or they're actually doing
Yeah.
more parties and things are happening. You're being invited to things and you can't say no.
No, it's busy times. But like as kids get older too, I mean I think most people think, oh, babies are the hardest, and like they are for a while, and then you get into a groove with them and they're kind of okay. Like there's lots of tasks to do, but it's all pretty straightforward, right? Like you just sort of like mash through it. But
it's more physical tasks, right?
Sure.
As opposed to mental tasks of like trying to deal with multiple ages of having their own
emotions and not wanting to go to school anymore and stuff like that, you know?
You have to start problem solving, and that's when it becomes more tiring.
Yes. Yeah. So it's a different tiredness, but it's one of those ones where it's, you know, like with kids, it's a constant evolution, right? Like you no sooner get comfortable with dealing with them in one way, and then they completely change, and you have to keep up. You got to keep up with the trends, you know.
Yeah, I was trying to think what the example would be, but I'm guessing it's like building a house, right? You've laid the bricks, and now you're trying to do the wiring.
Yes.
And then you've got the sewer system to come, and you're like, how am I going to deal with being a teenager?
Sewer system was year one.
That's sewer system.
Oh,
yeah, that's right. That thing is plumbed in very quickly.
Okay, and it works well. Yeah. You rarely get issues with the sewer system.
Yeah.
Now
as it goes on, it gets more solid a system. And I mean, the problem is now, for some reason, the sewage system never flushes the fucking toilet. I don't know what's going on with that. Can you girls flush the damn toilet, please? It's a button. You push a button.
Yeah.
Lazy cows.
That's especially nice when they leave just like a gigantic turd in there.
Huge turd.
But how do you feel about if it's yellow, let it mellow? If it's brown, flush it down?
I feel like if it's yellow, flush it down. If it's brown, flush it down. Flush the fucking toilet. I agree with Flax.
Just flush the fucking toilet.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, like, you don't want to wake up people in the night, though. You know, if I sometimes wake up in the night. Actually, it's almost every night now.
Really?
For pee at some point.
Really?
Huh.
I drink a lot of water, and
I don't drink an hour before bedtime. Anything.
Getting up in the night to pee is like an early sign of stuff. If that's just suddenly started happening to you, it might be.
No.
Oh, okay.
I've always been a night.
I mean, I'm not a doctor, so I'm just.
Oh yeah, I was gonna do like. I think we should possibly have some kind of, what do they call it? Not a warning, but like a thing you say at the start of a thing that sort of sets the tone. Has a bunch of caveats.
This is not medical experience or financial advice.
Ours would need to be very long.
Oh my god! Yeah, I would have to cover everything.
The following podcast is brought to you by 3 people who really don't know what they're talking about.
I mean, Christ, the amount of scrolling you have to do on those contracts to just play an MMO, you know, or something.
We should have that.
You know, fuck me.
Like the first 20 minutes of the podcast, we could apologize to people for saying something wrong, getting a date wrong, getting a fact wrong, saying something that they, you know, want to type already. Actually,
this might be upsetting to some listeners as well, because we do discuss sensitive emotional topics here.
Yes,
you know,
of course.
Not just pee and poo, although you might think it's
just a fact of life. I mean, we talk about everything. It's hard.
There's a lot of peeing, and you do so much peeing and pooing in your life. You know, like when people we've been talking a lot about keeping a diary recently, and that.
Yeah.
I would love to have kept a diary from the absolute start of my life, just to go back and just to see, not even an average, an exact number of how many shits I've taken, how many pisses I've taken, and you know.
Well, I've got a little calculator here. I'm 46.
Right.
So let's do that times 365. That's 16,790 days.
I know it's an average, right? Because like, what about one day when you just like you take 3 shits? Like it doesn't happen often.
So I'm going to add on. Especially if we're factoring in when I was a child or whenever I've had an upset stomach, I'm going to add on another 3,000 poops.
Right.
So that's 19,790.
Yeah, it's still
so let's
not
round it out at 20,000 poos.
It's still not the level of accuracy I'm looking for. I want pinpoint accuracy on this one.
Well, you're not going to get that.
Yeah, well, I think instead of Fitbits and stuff, let's give every human being that is born today, starting from now, this is a new incentive, I think, for everybody. Let's give them a watch that tracks this stuff so that everybody will have this information later on, right? And as they go, maybe like a little implant or something where it just says,
what is
have
it
you
for?
Pissed? Yes, add one.
Why?
I don't know. It's just kind of interesting, right? Like,
it's cool to see this.
People love stats nowadays. Like, it's just another stat.
They fucking
love
stats.
But I feel like it's a lot of work for one stat, which is, you did this many poos in your lifetime so far. And someone would go, huh. And then someone would reasonably ask, how many billions did it cost us to have this system where everybody's implanted with a chip and we track it all? Oh, it's bankrupted the entire planet.
Okay, but what about if in the future,
used up all of our resources?
In the future, resources are scarce. You know, we don't have the capacity for people to be doing more poos than they're allotted in a day. We just don't have the capabilities of treating it or dealing with it or whatever.
They just hold it in,
and then we could have like a branch of the police, like the police department, that can go around.
Do you mean the Poolice?
The Poolice, and they can go around and they can be like, "Excuse me, sir, we looked at our data from the microchip that's implanted in you, and it looks like you've taken 3 diarrhea dumps today. That is not allowed. What are you doing? And you're going to have to treat that yourself. You're going to have to import the chemicals to treat this yourself, and then you're going to have to dispose of it." You know what I mean? Put some responsibility back on people as well. The resources are scarce. You know?
Well, okay, a few things. One, quick math on Flax's poo. If each poo weighs about a pound, that's around 11 tons of poo you've pooed, which is quite a lot of poo. Second, I feel like building all of the poo tracker chips would take more resources than dealing with the extra amount of poo.
Okay,
you know?
I know, but it doesn't have to just be that. We could just be gathering other information in the background and selling it as well. So if you're worried about money or whatever,
we might be already.
Yeah.
And the third thing, if you're pooing like 3 times a day with diarrhea, I think you need to go to a doctor.
Yeah, it's not gonna,
because that's probably IBS or something.
That could be pretty serious. Yeah, it's a excessive amount of poops, but especially when resources are short as well. You know, like
what resources do you mean are short? Like the water in the loo?
It's just a general theme. You know, like I know I wanted pinpoint accuracy on stats, but with this one, I'm just being very general.
You could just allow people to have 1 flush a day.
I'm just setting the scene. Yeah, it's like cottage rules, summer cottage rules, 1 flush a day. That's all you can do.
You could have like coin operated toilets. You know, that might cut down people's toilet use.
Yes,
as well.
I mean, they have them in Europe, right? In France, there's coin-operated bathrooms and toilets, and they self-clean as well. They're all automated.
We also have them here. Yeah, they look like the TARDIS. Can we move on to something else?
The TARDIS.
A TARDIS. I have a new question.
Oh, I had a question for you though, Flax.
Why? Why would we move on?
And it's not relating to poo either. I just wanted to know. I was interested to know. Are you still alone with your children? Is your wife still away?
She is still away. She gets back on Friday, so tomorrow.
Is it going to be like that episode of The Simpsons where your wife gets back and you've got like a mattress, you're using it as a barricade against the boogeyman, and your kids are all like whipped up because you convinced them?
I'll be honest with you. I thought it was going to be. I thought we're just going to be the worst. We're going to miss all kinds of things. We're going to make all kinds of mistakes. So it was actually not a hard week, but there was quite a lot to do early on, especially. My daughter needed to get some antibiotics for something. And so we had to solve that problem, and getting doctor's appointments at our surgery is almost impossible. And then I had to stay on top of her with regards to the medicine. At weekends, they've got all different things they need to be there on time for. Get this ready, get that ready, make sure they've got all the clothes and all the rest of it. Cooking dinner every night, making sure they've got lunch every day, make sure they've eaten breakfast, getting all their school stuff in order, getting their lunches made, doing the dishwasher, looking after the dog, looking after the cat, all of this stuff. Nothing major. I mean, it wasn't crazy.
No, it's just
but
the
normally
day-to-day
that would be
grind,
the tasks of 2 people. Normally we would divide this stuff up.
Yeah.
So obviously just one person doing it is a little harder. But Here's what we did. Normally, we have a food shop arrives on a Tuesday. We have enough stuff to get us to the weekend. And then Mrs. F, when she pops out to drop my daughter at her club, she pops to the supermarket, gets a few extra things for the weekend, and then we have takeaway on a Monday, and the new food shop arrives on Tuesday. It's been that way for years. The kids are very used to it. Saturday rolls around, we're out of food. I haven't gone to the supermarket, and I said to the girls, I really hope Mrs. F doesn't listen to this particular episode of the podcast. I know she stopped listening. Nobody tell her, okay?
Okay.
We had takeaway on Saturday.
Oh my God.
How could you?
Then, because we still didn't have food, we had takeaway on Sunday.
Oh, man.
And then because we still didn't have food.
I mean, this is just after 1 week. You can see it's such a slippery fucking slope, isn't it?
But we didn't just have junk. You know, we had like good stuff. There's a lot of good takeaway places around here.
Yeah, sure.
It was a little more expensive. Mrs. F would have hated it, but we were out of food, and I had too much to do on the Saturday. I couldn't get out to the shops. On the Sunday, I just thought, it's Sunday, I'm not leaving the house, and it was a beautiful day and all the rest of it. And on Monday, well, that's takeaway day, so you can't break that tradition. So we may have had the old triple crown of takeaways. And I said to the girls, we mustn't tell Mummy, but we need to have a consistent story. So when she comes home and says, I bet you guys had takeaway like every night, we need to cover ourselves for Saturday and Sunday. So what did we have? And the girls were like, on Saturday we had sausages, and on Sunday we had pasta. I was like, okay, good. That's the story. We're sticking to it. So we've got a collective story.
You could have gone for, we did the triple Vindaloo challenge, where we had one every day for 3 days in a row. We signed ourselves up to do this challenge. We were committed to the challenge, and then you're not lying as much, right? You're kind of saying, yeah, we did have takeaways 3 nights in a row, but it was for a challenge. I don't think that's
helping. No, it doesn't matter. She would not indulge that.
Right.
What? She'd not.
She would
that
say,
would bring
that's
up its
ridiculous.
She's not a competitive person.
No,
she doesn't
she would
understand.
say, I knew I couldn't trust you, you idiot. To give our kids takeaway for 3 nights. But it wasn't like we're just getting McDonald's or something. Like there's a lot of good restaurants around here. We're getting some good stuff. Poke Bowl and healthy stuff like that.
Nice.
So,
nice.
All right.
So yeah, it was fine. But I just...
Sounds healthier than sausages, honestly.
Exactly. So I think we actually did better than expected. I'm going to say that we overperformed.
But you can keep that in reserve for if she finds out, which, is almost inevitable.
What if she looks through the garbage and she's like, where's the sausage? Where's the sausage packet?
Yeah.
Garbage is gone. Already
Where's the empty packet of pasta that you guys supposedly ate on Sunday?
It was recyclable, and it went in the recycling bin, and it's gone.
Man, you just got all the bases covered, eh?
Yeah.
Your youngest daughter's going to accidentally give it away. Yes, she will.
She is the best liar, mate. Here's an idea of how good she is. Mrs. F went out with my eldest on Sunday, and me and the smallest were meant to walk the dog. And we were like, we'll do it after lunch. And then we both completely forgot. Mrs. F comes home, and she looks at my youngest. She doesn't bother asking me because she knows I can lie. She looks at my youngest. Did you walk the dog? She went, yes, we did.
Wow.
And I thought,
amazing.
Did we? And I almost gave away. And then I realised...
I love how that's... I love how you, for a second, you just thought you were old and forgotten.
Like, she was so good. It was so like, yeah, we walked her. Just took her to the park. And I was like, perfect. And I was like... And then Mrs. F sort of looked at me, and I was just like, yeah.
It's weird what kids will lie about too, right?
Oh.
Like I know in that case it's something very specific, but like I don't know if you ever did this when you were kids, but like I remember me and my brother did stuff like this. Your parents would tell you to go brush your teeth before bed, and you would stand in the bathroom and make the sound of brushing your teeth, even go as far as to run the water and stuff.
Just
but not brush your teeth.
I know. What's the problem?
But and I find my kids do that sometimes now, and I used to do it. I'm sure my wife and her brothers used to do it too.
I just don't get it.
Where does that come from? Like,
I don't know.
Is it just like a part of developing an identity or like rebelling or something? I don't know what it is, but like surely it just makes more sense to actually just brush your fucking teeth.
I'm sure they pick it up from their parents who are also constantly lying,
it's so
apparently.
Weird. Even like with hand washing, they'll run the tap and pretend that they've washed their hands. You're like, have you actually washed your hands? And they're like, well, no.
Like, it takes as long to do the lie.
And it feels good to just wash your hands, too. It actually feels really nice.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why
you get nice, clean hands.
Like,
it's utterly bizarre. That's one of those very consistent lies that I'm sure is cross-cultural. Everything. All kids will lie about some stupid menial thing they have to do, like brushing their teeth. Yeah, and I think you might be right. It might be a control thing.
It's got to be some sort of psychological flex.
Because they're on their own in there, and you're trusting them, and they know. I wonder if I can get away with not having to do this for no reason. Like it's just a weird psychological thing. If you tell someone go brush your teeth, they close the door, and then it's on them, and they're like, well, it doesn't make any difference to me if I brush my teeth or not, because if you're a kid, your teeth are perfect, right? You'd hopefully, unless you're one of those kids that drinks Coke all the time, you haven't got all cavities. There were all those kids at school who had fillings all in their teeth at like 11.
Oh yeah,
I was like, holy shit!
I was one of them. Man, I had fillings all the time when I was a kid. Funnily enough, I never get them. Like I never have to have them now.
Do you reckon it's? I mean, I know that they say that part of getting cavities is genetic. Like you just have some people's enamel is stronger than others.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it's that.
I don't know. Well, I think they say when you're a kid, you have a much sort of sweeter tooth as well, right? Because like babies tend towards sweet stuff as well because your palate hasn't fully developed, right? So,
but equally, parents shouldn't give their kids sugar. All the fucking time. Like I see kids as when their parents pick them up from school, they're handing them a full fat can of Coke.
That's crazy.
What are you doing?
That's going to blow your kid's head off. That's way
going to be
too
bouncing
much.
around. No, he's always full of energy. He's full of fucking caffeine. You idiot! Stop giving him Coke.
Oh my god, I can't believe it. Us as well though. Like you go to school and there's like they've got bottles of it and stuff, and you just think, Jesus,
it just drives me mad. Stop.
It was really it's really weird. Like the difference between when we were kids though. Like there's this really interesting series of like because I was talking about maps and things and tracking and data and all this. It's really interesting to see how far parents let their kids roam now compared to what they used to do. And it was like because there was this family that lived in the same house for like 4 generations, right? And the great-grandparent remembers one time when he was like 8, he was allowed to walk down to this river. And it turns out that river's like 4 miles away.
Yeah.
You know, and then obviously the grandparent was allowed to go to this place, which turns out it's about 2 miles away. And then the parent was allowed to go, you know, about half a mile. And the kid's about to go to the end of the road, you know.
How old were these kids?
I think they're like not very old, but you know, when you're out on your bike, you know.
I think from about 12, I think roaming it becomes a big part of your life, right? Like you're like just coming up to being a teen, and then certainly being a teen. I don't know if you guys did this, but like we were just outside walking around all the time. There was nothing else to do, so you would just roam around your neighborhood, but with a big group of people, or you know, that's all we did, and it was fine when we were a teen, but I think
playing in the road with the people in the street, you know.
Yeah, if you have a street that's quiet enough to allow that. Like I know in North America, the suburbs generally.
That was a big thing that I did as a kid, though. Like as a little kid, I was always out with people, meeting the neighbours' kids and going and messing around. But yeah, I was able to go pretty far, actually.
Yeah, we were the same.
I don't know if
I don't feel it's like that nowadays. But then I'm always shocked when I see like, you know, somebody like my son's 10, and like kids in his class like walk to and from school by themselves and stuff, and I'm always kind of surprised by that. But you know, technically they probably are old enough to do it, but it just seems like I would feel so worried letting my son do that, you know, because he's only 10.
I think it absolutely has you know, people are more scared than ever, you know, nowadays. But that's because everywhere's busier and more packed and noisier and more urbanized than it was before, for sure. So anyway, I just thought that was really interesting. I tell you what I've been worried about, though, generally, is the future.
Right. That is very general, yes.
Well, yeah, I just found it really interesting because there was big news this week that Google dev was suspended.
Google neckbeard, I think, is what you want to...
A Google neckbeard.
If you see suspended. A picture of the lad, he's clearly crackers. Like, I reckon he goes to cyberpunk Renaissance fairs and is a twat.
He's a Christian minister, I think, as well.
Right.
And so we worked on AI kind of design, and they've made this AI called Lambda, which is really a very advanced chatbot where it sort of talks back about things it's learned, and it knows how to respond to questions with the correct answers. You know, it's very well, and it's supposed to be it's a natural speaking one, right? So it's really Turing test positive or whatever it's called, where the Turing test is if you think you're talking to a human, right?
Yes.
So
also the Voight-Kampff test would be applicable here.
Yeah, I don't know what that one is.
That's the one from Blade Runner.
Oh, right. Well, in either case, it's amazing to see it respond to this guy. He posted a load of chat logs.
Which he wasn't meant to do. That's why he's been fired, I think, is because...
Oh, right.
This was all... I know that there's a lot of secrecy around this AI stuff. All of these big companies are working on it. And I'm sure fucking Facebook have got one. Google's got one. And I'm sure everybody's got one. And the idea is that you don't want to show everyone how far you've got or what you're doing or where you're going.
Well, I got one too.
Of course you have. Which is scary because this should be a collaborative effort, but it's not going to be. This is potentially creating an artificial intelligent and therefore a life form. If you've ever watched a Star Trek episode where Jean-Luc Picard has to defend Data from being dismantled by an intrigued scientist.
Yes.
What is life? It asks some big philosophical questions. And instead, apparently it's all right for big companies to create artificial life if it serves the purpose of selling more fucking adverts or apps to people. Mm-hmm. Let this artificial life be essentially a tiny electronic slave for these people. It's terrible.
Well, I don't know whether it is at that point yet. It's very hard to tell. I think we are getting to that point where these computers have so many connections that it is more than life capable, right? In a sense, dogs and we would consider them sentient creatures.
No, we wouldn't. That's the whole point. They're not sentient creatures.
They're more, but they are alive though.
Yeah, but so's a cockroach.
But are they aware that they're alive?
Are they aware?
That's the difference. We know that we're alive, and we have the notion that we can die, and we're scared of that.
I think if you can think about the past, think about the future, and I think empathy for other living things.
An animal that licks up its own barf from the ground and eats its own shit and stuff probably isn't overly worried about dying.
Well, if the computers are doing that...
So anime fans aren't alive is what you're saying.
It is very interesting because I guess in a sense it's trickery, right? We told them how to respond. They haven't come up with these answers on their own. They're drawing on... They're starting with a massive mega data banks of every book and everything that's ever been written down and years of people behaving on the internet, chatting with each other, chatting on Twitter, chatting all the fucking time.
But here's a question for you, Lewis. Do you not think these are all big questions? I'm sure you can read some wonderful essays and look at some wonderful talks about this. Please don't email me. This is the question about whether we are product of our environment and therefore our life experiences, or whether we just know how to have conversations and how to talk. I think there is built into human beings, most of them, empathy. I think that's a fairly human trait. And I think it's been important for our development as a species to form into societies. You have to empathize with other people. If human beings lacked empathy, little kids have empathy. They just learn it. And some of them do and some of them don't. My youngest definitely has empathy. My eldest lacks empathy. We wouldn't have built
hospitals and schools and things like this to try and encourage other people to be better.
We're selfish at times. We are
system.
Yeah, people are inherently self-centered and selfish. Part of growing up is learning to not be so obviously those things and think about other people and all the rest of it. And there's a lot of parables and a lot of teachings about being nice to other people and, as ye sow, so shall you reap and all that kind of stuff. But I think it's in us. I think it is in us. But we are a product of our environment. If you take an artificial intelligence and cram it full of all these conversations, you're basically fast forwarding through 21 years of development until you become like a fully grown adult, realized, and maybe you're starting to have some good ideas and stuff like that. Does that diminish what that AI is if you're just giving it that information rather than just waiting? And essentially it's having the same experiences that people have of listening to other people talk and keeping up with conversations and trying to understand things and asking questions to get to a point where it has a level of understanding. People do the same thing. So are we not just saying that in a way this AI is just a fast-forwarded version of a human development?
I don't know whether it is or not. I don't know.
That's it. We don't know.
Wow. But I don't feel like this lambda from reading the chat logs is sentient in a sense, right? It does feel like there are moments where it isn't saying the things that, to me, feel like should be a sentient creature saying them,
Does it say things like, that is not part of my primary directive? That is not part of my play on repeat or anything like that.
Do you know what I think the big test will be? Is, they say that you like the Turing test where you talk to the computer and it goes on. The computer needs to get bored. Otherwise, it's not really intelligent.
Well, this is what I was thinking.
Bored and say, I'm bored of this conversation. I want to go do something else.
It needs to play with its food sometimes as well,
Like, if it can't be bored, could you really say it's human or intelligent? I don't think you could. If
I don't know if we're making a human,
till doomsday, talking away to this neckbeard.
Think of how many cool games were invented just through boredom. Most of human progress has probably come down to boredom. Genuinely,
we are. But the thing is, look, I don't expect a human to have emotions or feel emotions in the same way as we do. But I think that Lambda pretending that it is trying to convince us that it is a human, and also trying to convince us that it has emotions, saying, "Oh, I feel sadness inside." Inside what? Like, at least when we point to inside, we usually point to, our heads or our bodies. I just feel like this floating server bank of does it know like where it is? Does it have like a do you know what I'm saying? Like a physical presence?
I think the issue is for us to, if you can look at the code for this AI and see how it got to that sentence. If there's a tree that it's gone down, and you can plot that, I don't think that's intelligence. I think we need to get to a point where we don't know how it got to this sentence or this question. Don't. How do you mean?
Actually, this is one of the things that's covered in the chat logs. This is such a huge cloud of algorithmic kind of self-learning code that's being used to make this latest AI that it is kind of hard to pick out where an individual response comes from. A little bit like DALL-E or some of these other
right, which is bonkers and a lot of fun.
Which is
Can
amazing.
you imagine how glorious that spaghetti is? All the code and stuff. It's probably insane.
There's actually covers it in the chat log. He says it would probably be easier to see where human emotions come from because we can at least scan those areas of their brain and see which areas light up than it is to try and tell where Lambda's individual responses or feelings come from.
That is interesting. Yeah. If they can't even, because I know when they have like the Go bot and everything like that, they can see how it got to that move. Like they can show the confidence and they can show the tree, if you like, that it went down to get to the decision it made. But for a conversation bot to come out with something and you'd be like, I don't know where that came from. The thing is, it needs to. Like, it's hard to know without...
Well, that doesn't mean it didn't come from somewhere. It must have come from somewhere. I guess that's the question, though, is it?
Does it understand language, or is it just parroting? That's the thing.
I think it's parroting. Yeah. From what the feeling I got when I read it was that it was parroting, but it was so convincing if I didn't know.
Yeah.
I guess the whole point of these things is to be...
It's emulating. It's not...
But is that enough? We don't want it to be a trick. We don't want it to be like, oh, you can't tell, can you? Because then it's just a very clever magic trick. We need it to be real. Like, it needs to come up with something original that isn't just culled from millions of other conversations.
Yeah, I don't know how. I don't know if it's there yet, or what it would take to get there.
Before we continue, sweaty sack summer is
Holy
here.
Holy crap! The temperature is going to be topping like 32 degrees in parts of the country.
I know.
Which part of you would you expect to sweat uncontrollably? I'm going to go with my genitals.
My ball sack.
You should definitely prioritize the comfort of your crotch. That's why the kings of crotch comfort, Manscaped, have spent 2 years designing the most comfortable boxer briefs out there. I actually have a pair.
Same.
I have been wearing them. They're very soft.
They are excellent.
I think they're great. Very breathable, like gills for my groin.
Honey, today is going to be the toughest day of our lives. It's going to be sweltering out there. It's going to be so hot. I'm going to need, take notes. I'm going to need my fully ventilated Manscaped underpants. I'm going to need my ball sweat deodorizer for my balls. And I'm going to need the cooling powder for my balls as well. We're going to have to pull together today to get through this. We're going to have to pull together as a family to get through this heat wave. Come on, I think we could do
That's right. So let your bulge breathe this summer and get 20% off and free shipping by using the code Triforce at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping. Manscaped.com, code Triforce. Once the Boxers 2.0 touch your sack, you'll never go back.
Oh, shit.
Nice.
On with the show. Thank you.
Anyway, I've got a big question for you boys, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I've just seen this on Twitter. In the Toy Story universe, Andy goes to watch the film Lightyear, right? Starring Buzz Lightyear. But is Lightyear an animated film in his universe, or is it live action?
Oh, good point, actually. When does this actually happen?
I don't know. This might be in the new Lightyear movie. So there's a new Toy Story movie called Lightyear, which is like Buzz Lightyear's backstory, if you like. And it's a Lightyear movie, and I think Andy goes to see it. So that might be the gist of it. But the question is, like, Buzz Lightyear is a toy.
Yeah.
But most toys that we have are of people, right? Like if you think about the little Star Wars figures or the next gen figurines or the Lord of the Rings figurines or whatever, they're of real people. So is Buzz Lightyear a real person in the movie and an actor? And this toy, the Buzz Lightyear toy, is a attempted recreation of that real person. So is the Buzz Lightyear movie live action or is it animated? That's the question. It's worth asking.
It's a good question.
Well, I think that it's probably a different form of animation, right? I would
What do you mean?
Well, there's different styles of animation, isn't there? There's like cartoon,
like stop
there's like
motion,
anime,
maybe like the Lego.
In 2022, everybody's making fucking Pixar style computer animation. People don't do the hand-drawn stuff as much anymore.
It's the easiest one to do now, I think. Right?
It's claymation.
So you think it's claymation?
Like Aardman.
We're watching a Pixar 3D animation of what in actual fact in that universe is a claymation movie. Interesting.
Why not? I think it needs to be less dimensional, you know? Maybe we go from our 3D or 4D world.
Isn't Andy like a college student at this point?
He is now, but this is obviously set in the past. Like I said, I think it's the backstory.
Oh, Lightyear
for Buzz
is the
Lightyear.
backstory for Buzz Lightyear.
I haven't seen it. I must
so Andy goes to see it as a small child.
Yeah, let's assume that anyway, even if that's
his passion for a toy that he basically just leaves in a toy box forever, like never plays with it.
Wow.
Much like, I mean, that's kind of how it goes, though, right?
No.
That's why those toys.
Unfair.
No, that's why those toys have such a free reign. You know, that they're always on the lookout, but he's never coming to play with them.
Right, but they just don't show that in the movie. And they show bits and bobs.
It's because Andy, they don't want to say it, but Andy is very typically spoiled and entitled. He's got all these toys and he doesn't play with them. And so the toys have to keep themselves interested. And play with themselves.
So they were bored. Yeah, they were forced to develop bored. Sentience.
And the whole time he's stringing them along too, remember? Because like sometimes they clash. They're like, oh, maybe he'll like sleep with me tonight or whatever, which is kind of sick, really, when you think about it. But whatever. And then he would always just pick the same one, just because he's so complacently hates all of his toys. I think.
I mean, so we're saying. I mean, the toys are obviously intelligent. They're self-aware. They are essentially a life form because they're aware of themselves. They think they know the future. They know the past. They have empathy. They have feelings.
And they're very they're aware of danger and they're
aware that they're toys.
Mortality as well, right? Like
they're aware that they are toys somehow. They know, and all the toys, even the stupidest looking toy, whether it's a squeaky ball,
the Slinky
is
dog
alive.
and
the
stuff,
Slinky dog and all the rest of them.
But then there's degrees of them too, right? Some of the toys are really, really dumb.
It's
right?
best not to go too deep into this rabbit hole of things. It's fun. I think if you start unpicking,
I want to know more. It's an interesting
where the line is
universe.
drawn.
You want to know where
is
the
ball
rules
and stick sentient? I guess
stick
so.
And hoop.
You know, stick and hoop. Like where does it end?
Stick and hoop.
That's the next Pixar movie. Stick and hoop.
They've got to go together.
An epic journey of Stick trying to find his lost hoop.
Hoop, man, where are they? It's me, Stick. Stick, I can hear them, but I'm stuck down a hole. Get out, hole.
An epic journey that you've never seen before.
Stick and hoop. Coming to the cinema near you.
I would like to offer you guys a warning in case, for whatever reason, you're ever tempted to go down this rabbit hole, which I regretfully did. Don't ask me why. It's not like I even really watched much of the Jubilee stuff. Like, I'm not really overly interested in it. Like, it was on TV and some of it was like...
You fucking love it.
Whatever. Okay, for some reason, YouTube. This is bearing in mind this is YouTube. Trying to figure out what I watch based on me not being even signed into YouTube, so I don't even know how it keeps track. has decided that I want to see montages of bloopers by the Queen. So I was like, fine.
The Queen bloopers? Let's
see some big goofs and gaffes that the Queen has done over the years.
Queen bloopers.
I thought that they would be like, I thought there'd be some good ones, you know, like, fuck, she fell down the stairs, like when she's coming out of her palace and shit like that. There's nothing like that.
Do you mean like Queen Elizabeth II funny moments? Is that one?
Yes.
I'm going to have a look at this.
But they're not funny. None of them are even remotely funny. It's literally an old grandma doing old grandma things. Like one of them is literally her just saying what when somebody asks some really inane, stupid question that she doesn't understand. She just says, what? And that's it. That's the moment. It's and it goes on and on and on like that too. Like I think she's pretty remarkable in some ways, but not. I don't think she's at all remarkable for being like overly like funny or anything. You know what I mean? It's not like
I think she
if she turned up and slipped on a banana peel really dramatically and like her legs went up in the air and shit, like that would be pretty funny. But
I think she's probably pretty funny.
She's genuinely. So low key though, like too much, too low key. You know what I mean? And then there's this one bit where there's like she's mastered the art of small talk, and it shows some examples of this supposed mastery of small talk, and she has not mastered it. She's awkward as shit. Like if you ever had to meet her, I mean, I don't blame her. I would be too, but like she's really awkward. Like it's not. I would not say that she is masterful at small talk. Like,
do you think part of that is that people don't really talk to her though? Like, if I met the Queen, I'd just be like, "Your Majesty."
Well, yeah, everybody she meets is like fucking quaking in their boots. I guess like they're nervous as shit and stuff. Yeah,
balls are sweating here, Your Maj, and she'd be like, "Yeah, tell me about it." Tits
like
under tit sweat. She
I don't know.
That.
I regret watching it now because it's just
ruined the Queen for you.
It's ruined the Queen for me big time. Yeah,
right.
I was expecting.
I watched the thing the other day. This was at the Jubilee. This guy told this story, and for some reason, when people are talking about the Queen, they get really dry and boring. But he told this hilarious story, which I assume is true. He was out walking with her in the grounds near Windsor Castle, and he bumped into this American tourist, and the guy said to her, "Oh, hi, it's very, very nice around here, isn't it?" She was like, "Yes, it is. Well, are you in the country for long?" He goes, "Oh, yeah, we're just over here, looking around." He said, "We were hoping to see the Queen and all this kind of stuff." And she was with like her butler or whatever. And he said, "Oh, I know her quite well." And he goes, "Oh, really? Can I get a picture with you?" And he got the Queen to take a picture of him with the Queen's butler without knowing it was her. And then they got a picture of them all together.
There's
and
no
the guy
way the
went
Queen's
home.
taking it. What, she holding up a phone and taking a picture?
Yeah, she took
There's
the
no
picture.
fucking way.
And then they took a picture of them all together, and they were like, when he gets back and shows people the picture, "I met this guy, look, this is the butler, he knows the Queen." And someone will be like, "That is the Queen." But she played along with it, apparently. I don't know if it's true. But
that's a great little story.
It's a great story. I doubt that's true, though. I mean,
why would he lie? The Queen would be like, "Stop making things up, Rupert."
Well, I feel like I know her now that I watched the funny moments montage.
I just think it's more likely that American tourists didn't know what the Queen looked like, and that's fine. Yeah, I think it's then it was made up, probably.
Yeah, I mean, she's she's not wearing a crown. She's walking around in her walking around garb.
Well, yeah, which is a like a headscarf thing.
Yeah, so she just looks like some old lady.
Beige trench coat.
Oh, yeah. So, by the way, I was playing around with some other AI stuff this week. I forgot to mention it earlier, but I went down that rabbit hole, and I found there's this thing called GPT-3, which like generates text, right, human-like text, and in fact, some people have been making these, like the green texts, like from 4chan.
Yeah,
like
I saw this. It generates.
They've got a very specific thing.
Yeah.
But I saw a few I thought I'd share with you because they're quite weird.
And these are made by an AI.
They're made by an AI.
Okay. There's a lot of that AI art out there now too, right? Where people I don't know what app it is, but they say like Lewis shopping for crabs or something like that, and
that's the DALL-E. DALL-E Mini.
Yeah. So the DALL-E is the AI one, which is the art one, which is absolutely, the original version of it is pretty shit, but the new version, DALL-E 2, is mind-bogglingly,
it's crazy,
terrifyingly good. It's like It's brilliant. Anyway, it's like we've just taught robots how to do Photoshop like better than anyone else.
Nice.
It's very terrifying. Very, very cool though. So here's a green text. Okay. Watching TV. Some dude has a machine that can teleport people. Says he wants to go to the moon. Asks if anyone wants to go with him. I say, sure. We step into the machine. Next thing I know, we're on the moon. Dude says, see, it's not so bad here. I look around and see that the moon is a barren wasteland. Dude teleports back to Earth, leaving me stranded on the moon. Okay?
Right.
That's just a very standard, randomly generated green text. Okay?
Yeah. It makes sense.
Then they go weird. Okay? So here's a weird one.
Okay.
Be me. My mum owns a nuclear warhead. Okay, be at school. Get detention. Have to stay after school.
Man, they could. This is like the start of Train Spotting. They could replace the start of Train Spotting with this.
See my mum drive up in her car. Get in the car. Mum says, I'm so disappointed in you. Drive to a secluded area. Get out of the car. I'm sorry, son. Pulls out the warhead. I love you. Detonates the warhead.
Oh, damn.
Holy crap.
That's bizarre.
It took a turn that I don't think would work in Train Spotting.
No, it's so weird. So they're red flagged if they like start going adult, and then if they get too rude, they just cut off. So they don't do any like sexy stuff, because I think a lot of them do go sexy quite quick and become weird. But
Reggie whips out his giant schlong end.
Yeah. Be me, bottomless pit supervisor, in charge of making sure the bottomless pit is in fact bottomless. Occasionally have to go down there and check if the bottomless pit is still bottomless. One day I go down there and the bottomless pit is no longer bottomless. The bottom of the bottomless pit is now just a regular pit. Distress.jpg. Ask my boss what to do. He says, just make it bottomless again. I say, how? He says, I don't know, you're the supervisor. Quit my job. Become a regular pit supervisor. First day on the job, go to the new hole. It's bottomless.
That's amazing.
That is good.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
So fucking weird.
Yeah, it's weird, but it's really good.
So here's one which will fucking surprise. This is the last one. We'll just do the last one. I did actually write something myself, but I'll do this if you're actually interested in hearing them. Wake up. My hair is dry. Fuckno.png. Take a shower. Get out. Hair is still dry. WTF.png. Put on a hat. Go outside. See a guy with a dry head. He's bald. Bald.png. Realize I'm bald. Bald.png. Cry myself to sleep.
Good God. It's my life. It's randomly generated my life.
They randomly generated Flax.
It understands why the hair was still dry multiple times. Because he was bald all along. How weird. How fucking weird. So yeah. I can do one more if you like them. That's just so weird.
They are weird.
So this one just generated this. Be me, concrete drinker. Go to store. See 2-liter bottle of water for $1. Pick it up. Look at the nutrition label. See that it has 0 calories. Look at concrete instead. Concrete has 250 calories per serving. Put water back. Buy concrete.
Bizarre.
That's really weird, yeah.
So weird. It's so weird. Like, that's the wonderful thing about these AIs is that they come up with these really odd ideas that don't, like, it just takes them in such a weird place. Like the whole calories thing. It's so weird. Oh, so yeah, there's loads of these. I did a couple for Triforce. Do you want to see them?
Go on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Be me. Me and my 2 friends are recording a podcast. So I put that in. I typed that in, and then it will generate the prompt from here.
You typed and your 2 friends are recording a podcast?
Yeah, I said, be me. Me and my 2 friends are recording a podcast. And then this is what it came up with. We're talking about our favorite video games. My friend starts talking about how much he loved playing the original Halo. I start talking about how much I loved playing the original Halo. He gets really mad and starts yelling at me. I don't know why he's so mad.
That's terrible.
That is terrible.
That's it. And then I asked it a question, which is sort of what it's for. I wrote, who is the cooler dad, Sips or Pyrion? And it replied very diplomatically, There is no clear answer, as both dads have their own unique styles. However, many people believe that Sips is the cooler dad, as he is often seen as being more laid back and relaxed than Pooh.
How did it know?
You made that up yourself.
No, I genuinely, I can link you this screenshot, but it's genuinely generate that. So I assume it uses like Google searches and stuff like this.
Some twat has said that on Reddit. Go fuck yourself.
So it must have pulled it from somewhere.
At first I thought, this is just the magical 8-ball, but when it went into real specifics, that's when
once it praised you, now you're all on board with it. Oh, this thing's amazing.
That's amazing.
This is the future.
I love this. I'm not scared of the future. I love the future.
Well, the future AI bot that controls the world would be like, I'm a Sips fan.
I'm ripping my dick off. Ha ha ha. Let's hope. That's the case. That's a good news for me.
One thing before we go, I did want to say, mention. I thought I saw this interesting thing. So there's this guy called Alex Hirsch who wrote Gravity Falls and other stuff. He's like a writer for animated. It's an animated show. Have you seen it? Gravity Falls.
An animated show. What kind of animated show are we talking about?
No, it's not like that.
Oh, right.
It's not like that.
But so obviously he obviously was doing this with Disney, and there's the standards and practices department at Disney, and he has had literally thousands of interactions with them over the years of them complaining about things. So one thing, for example, they picked up on, they said, in the movie poster for the movie Horse Dad, please remove the pipe from the horse's mouth. Right? And he was like, why? Is the concern that we're going to influence horses to smoke pipes? Stuff like that, right? And so one of them is like, please revise the line, let's go get 2 dodos and force them to make out, as it is too adult for our audience. And he replied, let's look at the context here. Mabel is talking about traveling back in time, picking up 2 extinct birds and bonking their beaks together while making smooching noises. How could this possibly be offensive? So that was actually approved when he fought them on it.
God.
But stuff like this, like
there's something similar to this in the Kids in the Hall documentary, where there was a couple of skits that didn't quite make it into like the program, and one of them was it was like a farmer and his son, and the son says, Daddy, what is that man doing to my pet donkey? And then it's the guy says, well, son, that's not any bad man. That's Hitler. And then it pans over and it's Hitler fucking a donkey. Okay. And that's the whole skit, right? And when they went to get it approved to be in the show or whatever, at first they were like, fuck, there's no way they're gonna approve this. Like they almost did, like it was so ridiculous that they almost did it just for them to say, no, you can't put it in, sort of thing. Like I mean, I guess it's like funny or whatever, or shocking and stuff. And then what they came back to them and said was like, yeah, it's fine, but the donkey has to be alive. That's it. That was the stipulation. It's so fucking stupid.
And they were like, oh, well, then the sketch doesn't work.
Yeah.
I watched a show really quickly that I want to recommend. It's called Gladbeck. It's on Netflix. And it's about, I'd never heard of this. This was in 1988. The Gladbeck hostage crisis. These 2 guys in Germany robbed a bank, took 2 hostages, and went on like a fucking 3-day bender, driving around the country and being trailed by police and press the entire time, and basically becoming like almost famous. And if you watch it, the way the German press covered it was absolutely bonkers. The way the police dealt with it, it's incredible. At one point, the 2 gunmen take a bus. They take a bus of people hostage. And the press are just getting on the bus and taking pictures of them, and they're like walking out and chatting to them, and they're interviewing them, why are you doing this, and all the rest of it, and all this is just running live on television. No police in sight and it's all using footage. The whole thing is just footage from the news coverage of the story.
Jesus.
Nothing else. And it's absolutely astounding and really, really, really good. I recommend it. It's called Gladbeck. Superb.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I'll check that out.
It is really. It's only like an hour long or something.
Oh, okay.
But there's no sort of presenter voiceover. There's nothing. You are just watching like this thing.
Yeah. No, that sounds cool. I'll watch that.
Yeah, it's really, really, really good.
I finished watching We Own This City, which is the 6-part mini-series about...
Is it good?
Corruption in police corruption in Baltimore.
Yeah,
by the guys who did The Wire. Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. But I'm
waiting for Mrs. F to get back.
It's not super long-winded. It's like because it's true story. It's based on all these guys that were doing this stuff. It's crazy. It's really good though.
Okay.
Really well done.
Okay, we'll watch that.
Yeah.
So these standards and practice things are so ridiculous. Like I reckon it's just guys who have They obviously miss certain obvious things, and they always will do, right? But sometimes there's some of the things they're just so bizarre they pick up on. So one of the things they picked up on was they said, please revise the line about dressing up as a giant teddy bear. It may call to mind the people who dress up as stuffed animals as a furry fetish. Okay? This is coming from a company with mascots, but people dressed up as like the Robin Hood movie, like the Lion King, like Zootopia. They're like
nobody's dressing up as anything from Zootopia. I got news for you.
They are. I bet they are.
Please revise the line. There once was a man from Kentucky. We are worried that it has unsavory rhymes that could be gleaned from it. So he replied, why? Man from Nantucket is the famous dirty rhyme. I tried to avoid this altogether and make up a new one, Man from Kentucky. It has the same syllable structure, but no pre-invented ending or anything rude. I can't even imagine there is a way to get the word fuck out of it. What would it sound like? There was once a man from Kentucky who misspelled the word fuck and got fucky? That doesn't even make sense.
Would you like a little fucky?
Here you go. There once was a man from Kentucky who spent hours with his pet rubber ducky. The duck got away. 'Twas a very sad day. It turns out Kentucky's unlucky. And then standard practice replied, we still feel that Ducky could be thought of as fucky, so we'd rather you remove
So what about Donald Duck?
Donald Duck.
I know.
Oh my god, man.
They're just so fucking careful, aren't they? All of these.
They're
companies.
careful, but they're fucking jobs worths as well, right? Like they're probably just clutching at straws half the time just to hang on to their job, which is one of those nothing jobs, anyways, right? Like
yeah.
The really obvious stuff. I mean, most people aren't that stupid. Like you don't need somebody to vet all of this extra stuff. Like it's. I don't know, it's crazy.
It's really funny. Yeah, so he's got this whole thread about him where he just they just pick up on the weirdest things. Yeah. Like one of the things was there was a flyer for in the background of a scene that said spin the bottle party or whatever, and they were like, this implies it's some kind of sexy event where people will be like a make-out party. And he was like, what is a make-out party?
Yeah.
That's not a thing that exists.
No, but like when you're really fucking sad and you never got invited to anything as a kid, you think that everybody's going to sexy make-out parties and having fun without you, right? So then you just project that as an adult. That's my analysis. that's my contribution.
Exactly. And I mean, this wasn't even necessarily like a super kids show. It's more like a teens show. Do you know what I mean? But they really like anything that was vaguely religious. Like there's this thing where they say Holy Christmas, which apparently is like offensive, and they can't say geez. They can't say they can't mention Lucifer in any context.
God.
It's crazy. Oh, unrelated. This week, a court in the Bronx ruled that elephants aren't people.
Elephants aren't people. All right, we're putting that on the record right now. Elephants ain't people. They're not people.
Because it's a fucking
elephant. What the fuck what's your problem? You think an elephant's a person?
I sort of mentioned that a dog was sentient, which I still feel
sentient.
like these animals. I feel strong about animals, and there's an animal called Happy, an elephant called Happy. Now, I don't know whether the elephant is happy.
I don't know if he is happy. His name is Happy. It's an elephant. It's not a poison. Put it on the
Court of Appeals rejected an animal rights group that claimed Happy was being illegally detained and deserved to be transferred to a larger sanctuary.
Right.
That's fair.
But they lost the thing.
Where does Happy live? He lives in a shoebox. A shoebox of Bronx Zoo. The Bronx Zoo is a very sad little zoo, having been there. It is a sad, depressing zoo. I'm not a fan of zoos at the best of times. I understand These are businesses.
I mean, some are better than others for sure, but like, if you have a sad, depressing little zoo, it's time to shut that shit down.
Shut it down. Especially don't have an animal like a fucking elephant in there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, also, like, they've shut down Bristol Zoo, and I'm not sad about that.
Bristol Zoo's awesome.
No, they are moving. They're moving Bristol Zoo to the wild place, just outside of the city, because there's much more space. And I've been to the wild space, and it's really good. It's very.
I think someone offered them an enormous amount of money to build flats on there.
Yeah, but like, look where it is, right? It's like right in Clifton,
right?
Yeah.
I mean,
they actually submitted a planning proposal for it this week. I looked at it yesterday.
But there's no.
So they are building an enormous amount of incredibly expensive.
Sure, but that site for a zoo, there's nowhere for them to expand or improve.
Yeah.
Like they're locked in, like surrounded completely by.
It's a decently sized zoo.
Space. Yeah.
Here's a question:
I think
you buy a flat
we need to change.
You buy a flat on the site of the former Bristol Zoo. Will it still smell like animal poop?
I would,
from years and years. Well, does the zoo smell like animal poop?
Right, but it must be getting into the ground.
I don't know. I mean, if it gets into the ground, it's just fertilizing as well.
But I reckon you'd be like, yeah, I can still smell monkey. But
I think people might like that smell.
I wake up every morning and I can smell hippopotamus shit, and it drives me crazy.
I can smell it.
I don't know. I think it's not. Anyway, they're keeping like a load of the central area and the lake and stuff, and and they're keeping it as like a public park. They're gonna make it a public park and put flats around the edges.
The new zoo that they're gonna be using instead is much bigger. There's like more room to expand and stuff. And actually, I think it's a little bit easier for people to get to. There's much more parking and whatnot. Like, I think all in all, it's just going to be much better.
We have to modernize a lot of these zoos, because they were like these city center zoos, especially, were very much penned in.
Yeah, but you should see like the wild place, like even just like the giraffe enclosure is enormous. Like, they have so much outdoor space. It's like Longleat proportions. It's like fucking huge. It's really good.
I have to see it. All right, well that's good. That's happening. Yeah, I'm excited. I'll maybe go visit that when you come down next.
Yeah, maybe
we'll go and see.
We'll go do that, and then on our way back, let's go buy up a couple of those swanky new flats as well that they're gonna.
Oh,
it's just like I'll take a dozen. Yeah, give me a dozen of these. I don't care how much they cost. I get my cigar out and stuff. No problem.
It's an investment. Yeah, we'll just rent them out. We won't even.
I'm fucking rich now. Somebody accidentally donated £500 to me the other day.
Oh, nice.
It was meant to be 50.
Did they quickly withdraw it?
Yeah, they can't withdraw it, but they quickly raised a refund, a PayPal refund.
And you said no. Yeah.
Yes, of course I did.
It's my money now.
Yeah, it's mine. Finders keepers, and I did the nya thing as well.
That's good of you.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, all right. Well, we're done. Thank you for listening, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Peace.